Hey there, Schmitty here, and today we're going to go over some of my favorite B&M roller coasters. I'm not saying they're the best, I'm just saying they're some of my favorites. Now, B&M coasters are known for their smooth rides, comfortable seating, and their awesome design layouts. Our first coaster is Kumba at Busch Gardens, Tampa. At 143 feet, with a 135-foot winding drop, it has 7 inversions, featuring a 114-foot tall loop, a zero-G roll, a diving loop, a cobra roll, and interlocking corkscrews, not to mention the cool tunnel at the last section of the ride. The theming on Kumba is really cool, because it interlocks with the route of the train, the Whitewater Rapids ride, and there's bridges that you can walk across also, while the train rides the rails underneath of you. Kumba means roar in the African Swahili language, and it definitely roars loud in the park. Add it to your list of coasters to ride next time you're at Busch Gardens, Tampa. And our next coaster, Nemesis at Alton Towers. This coaster is one of the best themed coasters in the world. Making use of the terrain around it, it kind of sits in a crater. With a drop of 104 feet, and 50 miles per hour, it features 4 inversions, a zero-G roll, a loop, and 2 corkscrews. They used to turn the water red to make it look like a pool of blood, which they stopped doing because of environmental reasons, but this is still a fantastic coaster to ride. And to many, it's the best inverted roller coaster on the planet. Would you agree? Comment below. And our next coaster takes us to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. Alpengeist. 195 feet high, 170-foot winding drop, 6 inversions, a 106-foot tall loop, Immelman, cobra roll, zero-G roll, and a corkscrew. Busch Gardens is known for theming, and they do a really good job here with Alpengeist, which means Ghost of the Alps, or Alps Spirit in German. And while this Ghost of the Alps hijacks your coaster train, it takes you through the terrain of the forest around you, flipping you upside down on a high-speed ride through the woods of Virginia. Definitely add this to your coaster list when you get to Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And our next coaster takes us back to Busch Gardens, Tampa. Montu. An Egyptian-themed roller coaster, flipping you over pyramid blocks, under tunnels, and making use of the terrain at high speeds. 150 feet high, with a 128-foot winding drop, 60 miles per hour, and 7 inversions, featuring a 100-foot tall loop, Immelman, zero-G roll, a bat wing, a 60-foot tall loop, and a corkscrew. Now, personally speaking, this is one of my favorite roller coasters, and probably my favorite inverted coaster. From the time you drop till you get to the station, it is non-stop fun, and one of the smoothest coaster rides I've ever been on. Well done, Busch Gardens. And next, my favorites takes us to the amazing state of California. Medusa at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom. At 150 feet, with a 150-foot drop, 65 miles an hour, and 7 inversions. Medusa takes you through a 128-foot tall loop, a zero-G roll, a diving loop, a sea serpent element which is only found on this coaster, and 2 corkscrews. And this is a floorless coaster, which means your feet don't touch the floor, so you're going to feel that first drop in your stomach. I don't know why it's built over a parking lot, and I feel like they could have added some better theming to that, because it really is a good ride. And our next coaster takes us to the Garden State. Bizarro at Six Flags Great Adventure, formerly Medusa. At 142 feet, with a 132-foot drop, 61 miles per hour, and 7 inversions. Bizarro features a loop, a zero-G roll, a cobra roll, a diving loop, and interlocking corkscrews. With little theming, it's still a fun ride. It makes use of the terrain around, and it offers high speed that is non-stop from the time you drop until you get to the station. It sits across from El Toro, which is a whole nother monster, and that's a different story and video. And next, we go to my second home, Orlando, Florida, to unleash the Kraken at SeaWorld Orlando. At 149 feet high, with a 144-foot drop, which you will feel in your stomach, because this is a floorless coaster. 65 miles per hour and and 7 inversions, featuring 2 loops, a diving loop, a cobra roll, a zero-G roll, and a corkscrew. Riding over water, land, and underground tunnels, this is such a fun ride, and often overlooked since it's in the back of the park. But next time you get to SeaWorld Orlando, make sure you add this to your coaster list. And next, we go to Silver Dollar City. Wildfire, at 120 feet high with a 155-foot drop, 66 miles per hour, and 5 inversions, featuring an Immelman, a loop, a cobra roll, and a corkscrew. This coaster is built alongside a mountain, which makes great views of the countryside. One of the only sit-down coasters, like Kumba at Busch Gardens, Tampa, and a fantastic addition to Silver Dollar City. Is this one of your favorites? Comment below. And our next coaster takes us back to SeaWorld Orlando. Manta, a flying coaster, at 140 feet high with a 113-foot winding drop, 56 miles per hour, and 4 inversions, featuring a 98-foot tall pretzel loop, 2 inline twists, and a corkscrew. The theming of this coaster is amazing, and the bottom of that pretzel loop is such a head rush. And one of the cool facts of this ride is when you swoop down over the water, your knees get soaking wet from the fountains below. Such a good coaster, and one of my favorites in Orlando. Our next coaster takes us to the roller coaster capital of the world in Sandusky, Ohio, Cedar Point. Gatekeeper, a wing coaster, at 170 feet high with a drop of 164 feet at 67 miles per hour and 6 inversions, featuring a dive drop, an Immelman, a zero-G roll, a corkscrew, an inclined dive loop, and an inline twist. Now, a cool thing about this coaster is you don't really drop, you kind of come out of an inversion, and Gatekeeper takes advantage of the theming by flipping you through 2 columns, hovering above the entrance to the park. I love this coaster because it feels like I'm flying and I'm gliding in the air. A must ride for your next trip to Cedar Point. And next, we travel to the sister park of Cedar Point at Kings Island, Banshee, at 167 feet with a 150-foot drop, 68 miles per hour, and 7 inversions. Banshee has 2 loops, a zero-G roll, a diving loop, a pretzel knot, and an inline twist. This is one of the newer versions of the B&M inverted coaster. The colors are catchy, the ride is smooth, it has newer restraints, and coaster enthusiasts will tell you how much they love this coaster. An incredible addition to Kings Island's coaster collection. And that does it for my favorite B&Ms. I hope you enjoyed the journey, and check out some of the other videos here on Adventure Arcade. Thanks for watching. I'm Schmitty. Cheers.